Drone footage reveals orcas using tools. In a stunning first, behavioral ecologist Michael Weiss was browsing through new drone footage of the orca pods he studies in the Salish Sea when he spotted one of the killer whales carrying something green in its mouth and noticed an unusual behavior. Some orcas were rubbing against each other for up to 15 minutes at a time. At first, Weiss didn't think much of it because whales do weird things, he said. But more observations yielded similar sights on his drone camera. I zoom in, and sure enough, there's clear as day this piece of kelp that they're using to rub on each other. Over the course of just 2 weeks in 2024, Weiss and his team documented 30 examples of these curious interactions. They found that the southern resident orcas, a distinct population of killer whales, were detaching strands of kelp from the seafloor to roll between their bodies in a behavior the scientists dubbed Allokelping. Allokelping could be a form of grooming for skin hygiene, as well as a way to socially bond with other members of the pod, the researchers reported in a new paper published Monday in the journal Current Biology. The discovery marks the first time cetaceans, marine mammals including whales, dolphins, and porpoises, have been observed using an object as a tool to groom. Across the animal kingdom, using tools is rare, according to behavioral ecologists. But when it does happen, it's often for finding food or attracting mates. This is a quite different way of using an object, said Weiss, the study's lead author and research director of the Center for Whale Research in Washington State. Allokelping theories: there are two possible reasons behind the allokelping behavior, Weiss and his team hypothesize. Hygiene, such as treating or removing dead skin, could be one explanation. Cetaceans often shed dead skin, which helps keep their bodies smooth and aerodynamic. Skin lesions, particularly gray patches, are becoming more prevalent in southern resident orcas, Weiss added, so allokelping might be a way to treat those lesions. The other hypothesis, Weiss explained, is that allokelping is a way to strengthen social bonds, as the whale pairs seen exhibiting this behavior were usually close relatives or similar in age. These guys are incredibly socially bonded, said Deborah Giles, an orca scientist at the Cetic Society, who was not involved with the research. This behavior is fascinating, but not entirely surprising, she added. Orcas are curious and tactile, with brains that are large compared with their body size, Giles explained, adding that some parts of the killer whale brain are more developed than what's seen in humans. Each orca population even has its own dialect. Cetaceans also have sensitive skin, explained Janet Mon, a behavioral ecologist at Georgetown University, who has studied marine mammals for 37 years. Orcas are known to rub on other objects such as smooth pebble beaches in Canada or on algal mats. But it's unusual to see individual killer whales using a tool to seemingly exfoliate each other, she said. What the study shows is that we know very little about cetacean behavior in the wild, Mon said. Allokelping likely wouldn't have been discovered without advances in drone and camera technology, which have opened up a whole new world for scientists to better understand cetaceans' complex lifestyles, Mon said. Historically, whales are observed from shore or from boats, offering a limited perspective of what's happening in the water. But drones offer a bird's-eye view of what marine animals are doing just below the surface. It's likely this population has been allokelping for a while, she said, only now we can see it. Cultural phenomenon: orca scientists with drone footage are probably going to be on the lookout for this sort of behavior now, Giles said. Killer whales aren't the only cetaceans known to use tools, though. Some bottlenose dolphins have been observed carefully removing and using sponges to scare up prey on the seabed, a sophisticated behavior that only a small fraction of the population exhibits, said Mon, who has studied the dolphins in Australia's Shark Bay. Some other bottlenose dolphins use their tails to slap the ground in a circle, creating mudring plumes that trap fish. And humpback whales have long used bubble nets to catch prey. Whether these examples constitute using tools is a topic of debate in the scientific community, but regardless, they are all behaviors related to foraging for food. What makes Allokelping unique is its potential benefits for skin health and relationships. In other words, it appears to be a cultural practice. This idea of allogrooming with tools is largely limited to primates, which is what makes it remarkable, said Philippa Brakes, a behavioral ecologist with the non-profit Whale and Dolphin Conservation, who is not involved with the research. This kind of feels like a moment in time for cetaceans, because it does prove that you don't necessarily need a thumb to be able to manipulate a tool. Brakes, who studies social learning and culture in cetaceans, added that this new research tells us quite a lot about how important culture is for these species, each population in this case. Southern resident orcas has a distinct dialect for communication, specific foraging strategies, and now a unique type of tool use. In a rapidly changing environment, Brake said, culture provides a phenomenal way for animals to be able to adapt, as it has for humans. It's more reason to ensure that we protect their habitat as well as their behavior, she noted. A completely novel find indeed. Southern resident killer whales are critically endangered and federally protected both in the United States and Canada, with a total population of just 74 whales. And as bull kelp is in decline due to human activities that disrupt the seabed and more frequent heat waves caused by climate change, the overall ecosystem is degrading. Kelp forests are also critical nursery habitat for juvenile Chinook salmon, a key part of killer whales' diet, Giles said. Southern residents have been spending less and less time in the Salish Sea over the years, possibly because of dwindling prey, said Monica Vilant-Shields, co-founder and director of the non-profit Orca Behavior Institute. The study makes me wonder if one of the reasons the southern residents continue to visit the Salish Sea periodically, even during times of low salmon abundance, is to engage in allokelping. Shields wrote in an email to CNN, "The research is now leading to new areas of study. The cetacean data point is a really important one because it's completely novel," said Dora Biro, an animal cognition researcher at the University of Rochester who was not involved with the study. Biro, who has mostly studied tool use in wild chimpanzees, added that examples of terrestrial tool use are much more widespread than in aquatic environments. She is now working on a grant proposal with Weiss team to better understand the purpose of the behavior. But for Brakes, there doesn't necessarily need to be a purpose. The objective may just be social bonding, and that would still make it a tool.